Welcome. I'm Linda Lewis for We the People Congress. Thank you for joining us today and for tuning in to Reunite America. Our guest speaker today is David Justice. He is a man that is the Colorado coordinator for We the People Congress. He is highly respected by his peers and is profoundly educated in constitutional law. He is here today to help us better understand the implications and the event that is planned for November 2009 in the Second Continental Congress. David, welcome.
Thank you, Linda. Nice to be here.
Thank you very much. Why don't we just start at the beginning, David, and why don't you help us to understand the Declaration of Independence, maybe starting with the preamble, because that's really the foundation of all this.
The foundation that we're operating from in our agenda to have a Continental Congress is the Declaration of Independence. The Declaration of Independence being the foundation upon which America rests, when you get down to documents at least. The principles of the Declaration of Independence expressed in the Declaration of Independence themselves are actually the bedrock of what America was established upon, the philosophy of American law and politics. And it was according to the principles of the Declaration of Independence that was written at the First Continental Congress that we, the members of the We the People Congress, have decided to host a Second Continental Congress so that we can return back to the fundamental roots of American law and government and basically hold the government to account, which is a duty and responsibility that the Declaration of Independence provides to the people of America. I don't know how much more extensively you would like me to get into it, but...
Well, will you just give us a brief recitation maybe of the preamble so we can start with...
Well, the second paragraph actually gets into it very quickly. It says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That in itself is a statement that the purpose of government is to secure the unalienable rights endowed upon all people by the Creator. That is a declaration of the reason that government exists. It is also a declaration that there is a Creator, that there's a presumption of Creator from which the certain unalienable rights are given to the people. And among these rights, not limited to these rights, but among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And it goes on to say that whenever a government becomes destructive of that end,
Yes.
that end being to secure those rights, that the people have a right to alter or abolish their constitution and form of government and to provide new guard for their future security. Right there in the opening sentences of the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence is a statement that the people are in fact the reason that the government exists, rather than the government, the people existing for the sake of serving and worshiping the government. I use the worship in this context because a government has a tendency to, when it gets real powerful, it desires that the people give it allegiance and give it basically worship. And in the process of doing that, the tables are turned then, and the people are no longer the reason that the government exists, and the people are now existing to serve the government. So just getting into the first paragraph of the second paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, those are the principles upon which the calling of the Second Continental Congress is called for, because we feel that the government has gone well beyond its authority. It's gone well beyond the reason that it was established according to those principles.
Certainly. I think most of us would agree with you on that point.
Well, you know, before you agree with me really quickly, it's difficult for a lot of people to agree on that point, because a lot of people think that the government can basically do everything at once. A lot of people believe the government's not accountable to anyone. A lot of people believe that just because the government has the ability to throw you in jail or fine you, that it can do anything at once, and there's no restraints on the government. The reason the Declaration of Independence is important is because it specifically it flips that whole concept around
Sure.
and puts the people in charge.
Sure. So let me stop you there.
Okay.
And let's just go back and let's talk about the fact that most people don't even understand the words that you just said. Most people surely can't recite them, don't even know what document they came from. And they surely do not, on a lot of levels, understand, for instance, unalienable. Explain to us what unalienable means.
Okay, well, let's break the word down. Inside the word unalienable is the word alien. Alien we think of in the terms of, a foreigner, a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
A Mexican immigrant before he comes to America would be an alien. We think of spaceships coming from another
Right.
planet, alien. So alien would suggest that it's a distant something that is not domestic, something that is not local.
Mm-hmm.
It would also, you could break down the word alien to alien. And the word alien there's a debate going on in certain legal circles as to which one of these two meanings or intentions the founding fathers meant by this word. So it's an ongoing debate. But both camps agree. So let's go to where they agree.
Sure.
Both camps agree that it means you can't be separated from them. That means that because they were given by God,
Sure.
they are exclusively ours, and no government can take them away from us. They are inherent. They are a natural endowment. They come from God.
Mm-hmm.
They come from the Creator, which is the word that the founding fathers chose. And they are as much a part of me as my hand is a part of me. You can no more separate me from an unalienable right than you could separate my hand and have the law get behind you and agree with you on that.
Sure.
So you come up, take my hand off my, with intention, you're probably going to go to jail or, suffer the repercussions of the law. If you come up and take one of my inalienable rights away from me,
Sure.
it's the same
Same
thing.
thing.
I don't know if I could have put it any more succinctly than that.
Okay. Excellent. There's another word that we hear often that I would like for you to define for us quickly so that we can move forward with people having a clear understanding of what it is you're explaining. Explain to us, define for us, sovereign.
Sovereign is an interesting word. It literally means the buck stops here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'll try to keep it as simple as I can. A king is known as the sovereign. If he has no legislature to write law, the king's command is the final word. So the sovereign basically has the final word.
Okay.
So in the context of American people being sovereign, they have the final word. Now, this final word is expressed through the constitutions that were created to establish the government.
Okay.
So though the people are sovereign, they give away certain sovereign power. They don't give away sovereignty.
Okay.
They give away sovereign power to the government through the Constitution. The constitutions of this country were created to create government. They were written to give power to government. So sovereign, now one more time, sovereign means literally the last say.
Okay. The final word.
The final word.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when you refer to constitutions, you are referring to the federal and the state constitutions, because indeed all 50 states do have their own separate constitutions.
Each state has its own constitution because each state has a government. Well, I should say
Sure.
I should say it another way. Each state has a government because each state has a constitution. See, the Constitution comes first. The
Okay.
Constitution is the instrument through which governments are created. In America, the government is created by the Constitution. The document of the Constitution is the instrument that gives power to the government, and then it tells the government what it can and cannot do with the power. So inside the Constitution, you find the height, the width, the depth, the scope, the boundaries, the limitations. It's all about the government. So when we talk about Constitution, when I say Constitution, I'm talking about the instrument that creates